You know that one coworker, the one who replies to emails at 11 p.m., the one who keeps meticulous screenshots of every casual Slack message, the one who has a backup plan for a project that hasn't even been approved yet. You probably look at them and think, wow, what a dedicated top performer, such an incredible work ethic. You're wrong. They aren't driven by ambition, they are running on professional PTSD. Here is the brutal reality that corporate culture refuses to acknowledge. When you start your career in a toxic, hyper-volatile work environment, whether that's a micromanaging boss, a startup that laid off half its staff overnight, or a company where "we are a family" actually meant "we will exploit your boundaries," the trauma doesn't disappear just because you get a new job at a healthy company. The toxic job ends. The survival psychology doesn't. Your brain's threat detection system was calibrated to chaos, and it doesn't just reset when you get a better boss. It keeps scanning. It keeps waiting for the invisible axe to fall, because once upon a time, it did. Welcome to the hidden psychology of the crisis-coded professional. Here is the first rule of survival mode software. The brain doesn't logic its way out of trauma. Neuroscience reveals that chronic workplace stress reshapes cognitive function. It burns your mental bandwidth the way a virus consumes RAM. Those neural pathways, once formed, are incredibly persistent. So when your coworker, who now works in a psychologically safe office, has a minor panic attack because the manager says, "Can we chat for 5 minutes?" They aren't being irrational. They are running legacy software from a previous boss who used those exact words right before firing them. The crisis is over, but the crisis coding remains. This coding produces two completely opposite yet equally extreme types of professionals. Camp 1. The control hoarders. They grip their responsibilities so tightly it suffocates their team. Every task is tracked, every variable is managed. They feel physical anxiety at the thought of delegating because in their past, relying on others meant getting thrown under the bus. They are highly reliable and entirely miserable. Camp 2. The mercenaries. Same toxic background, completely different wiring. They jump ship every 8 months. They refuse to emotionally invest in the company's vision. Not because they are lazy, but because they learned that corporate loyalty is a scam. Their internal script says, the company will betray you eventually, so extract the paycheck and leave before they get the chance. Same data, different survival conclusions. Then there is the deep systemic distrust of the institution itself. Ask a crisis-coded professional what they think of HR and watch their face freeze. They don't trust the open door policy. They don't trust unlimited PTO. This isn't paranoia, it's pattern recognition. They remember when HR protected the abuser. They remember when unlimited PTO was a trap to see who wasn't a team player. So they keep a private paper trail. They BCC their personal emails. They are the first to read the microscopic fine print of an NDA. But here is where their survival instinct becomes a lethal trap. The martyrdom tax. In a toxic environment, you learn to do everything yourself. If you don't do it, it fails, and you take the blame. This hyper-resourcefulness is impressive, but as an adult in a healthy environment, it destroys them. They will spend 40 hours brute-forcing a task that a colleague could help them with in 4. Asking for help feels like showing weakness, and in their old environment, weakness was hunted. Unlearning this hyper-independence is the most painful professional growth they will ever undergo. Yet, there is a shadow superpower to these individuals, the umbrella manager effect. People who survived toxic workplaces are fiercely protective. When they become leaders, they will exhaust themselves shielding their juniors from corporate politics. They give their time and mentorship unconditionally because they remember viscerally what it felt like to be drowning while a boss handed them an anvil. They aren't trying to build an empire. They are trying to build a safe room. They want to ensure the next generation doesn't have to start at the same terrified baseline they did. If you're realizing right now that your hustle is actually just unresolved workplace trauma, you need to break the loop immediately. Stop trying to outwork your anxiety. You cannot outperform a nervous system that thinks it's being hunted. Step 1. Audit your environment. Force your brain to acknowledge the physical evidence of your current safety. Write down 3 ways your current system is fundamentally different from the toxic one. Step 2. Practice micro-delegation. Give away a 5% task this week. Let someone else do it imperfectly. Watch the world not end. You have to prove to your brain that the flaw is solid. Your hypervigilance isn't a flaw. It is a brilliant, crisis-coded survival strategy written for a war you are no longer fighting. It's time to lay down the armor. If you felt called out, seen, or slightly uncomfortable during this video, good. That means the realization has started. Hit the subscribe button right now. Your career behavior isn't random. It's a response to the environment that made you. Let's rewrite that code together in the next video.